60 games. That is what we had this season, ladies and gentlemen. If you would have asked me back in January, how much would you want to bet that we would have a 60-game season, I would have told you you're fucking crazy. Back when they were negotiating in April, I thought it was insane, but this is what we got. We got 60 games this season. The postseason is finally here. Today was the last day of the regular season, and as promised, the Town Tailgate is bringing you a special bonus podcast episode.
Now, what is more improbable? The fact that if you would have told you back in January that it was going to be a 60-game season.
Okay.
The fact that in April and May, when we went through all the hardships of this negotiation, that the fact there was even going to be a season.
Okay.
Or the fact that the Miami Marlins are in the playoffs. What would you, if you had told him, like,
do I have to pick one, or can I?
No,
just,
like if you
can I
would have
just
said
tell you that
it,
all of them are extremely improbable.
2020 in a nutshell, right there.
Welcome to the bonus episode. Like we
bonus.
promised you, Julio and Chris, we're back together again Sunday night. We got a lot of series to get through. The most playoff games we've ever seen in one round.
After a day of football, we just got to really like put our mind where our chickens are. Money, whatever. Baseball. We're number one to baseball.
You really should have gotten that analogy together before you decided to throw it out there.
We're gonna have a pretty crazy week on top of the NBA or MLB playoffs. NBA finals are gonna be starting on Wednesday. Just found out tonight. Heat and Lakers on top of Thursday night football, on top of Sunday and college football. Sounds like it's pretty much in full swing. So
yeah, we're on sports.
Stanley Cup is going on, so
which is pretty cool though. So the playoffs start this Tuesday, September 29th. That will be game 1 of the American League Wildcard Series, and then on Wednesday, the National League kicks it off with game 1 of the National League Wildcard Series, as well as game 2 of the American League Wildcard Series. And then Thursday will be game 3, if any, of the American League Wildcard Series and game 2 of the National League Wildcard Series. And then Friday, they ended off with, if any, of course, again, final game 3 of the National League Wildcard Series. So should we just jump into the series, Julio?
Let's do it, man. I'm excited.
So in the National League, the number 1 seed is the Los Angeles Dodgers, like we've been kind of talking about all year. They were the best team from day one. They never lost the first place seed in the National League, and here they are again. They dominated the regular season. They are the 1 seed taking on a very rare appearance that I didn't think was going to happen. The Milwaukee Brewers snuck in at the 8th seed. They will be playing those games.
Should have been the Giants, man.
I know, dude. The Giants. So if the Giants would have won on Friday, it would have been them. The game that they against the Padres that they just let slip away. Had they won that game, they're sitting there in that series, but they just couldn't hold together. So this is where we're at. That series will be played in Dodger Stadium. So what's the main thing we got to look forward to on that one, Julio?
Well, the Brewers kind of snuck in. This is, if you haven't been paying too much attention to them, Christian Yelich has been okay this year. He was horrible the first month, but he's kind of started clicking in. Corbin Burns, he's one of the starters out there with the Brewers. He's probably going to finish top 3, top 5 Cy Young finalists out of the National League. And of course, he was excellent. Josh Hader, of course, you know what he's going to be doing, closing out games. All that being said, they're not going to win a game. It's the Dodgers. The only way I would think the Dodgers, if the Brewers have a chance, is because if Kershaw, we know what he's going to do. He's been pitching so dominant this year. There's no way he's not going to do it. Walker Buehler pitched his first game back from his blisters.
So he is back, and he will be pitching.
He will be pitching. We haven't seen the full what the day by day is going to look like, but the assumption is it's probably going to be game 2.
Yeah.
And if he is not ready after his first start against the A's, the A's last Thursday, then no, well, that could be the chance for, not saying start as in like physically ready, but if like conditioning wise, and when he's out on the mound, that could be the one chance the Brewers could have to win, is if they have to really more or less rely that like he's not all the way there yet and take advantage of it. That's the only way I think they can win. And if you get to game 3, of course, you're going to get one of the May, Gosselin, Urias, who have all been pretty solid throughout this whole year. They're still young. They're still unproven, especially in a playoff spot, with the exception of Julio Urias, who had some playoff pitching a couple years ago. But I don't think there's going to be a real talk here. What about you, Chris?
I mean, if I'm being completely 100% honest, and I know that I promised listeners that we would put together this podcast and you would think that I would be prepared, but I thought it was going to be the Giants in this game, so I was more prepared for the Giants to be I
bet you Dodger fans are happy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
How well the Giants have been playing, though. They got lucked out.
Well, I mean, what's his face even said it on our podcast?
Ronnie. No, what's that guy?
I'm sorry. He's your friend. I met him one time. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Gosh.
He's a guest. All right. Besides the point, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Thank you for wasting our time. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so Corbin Burns, I know because he was on my fantasy team for a little bit this season. But anybody else, I mean, who would there? I dropped him. And then, but anybody else on this pitching staff? I mean, Brett Anderson, does he pitch game 2? Josh Lindblom, maybe. Brandon Woodruff, probably actually. I don't know.
Woodruff
I mean, Brett Anderson has a worse ERA, but he's got more wins and he's pitched more games. So I mean, like, or more innings, not more games. Oh no, actually, Woodruff has pitched more innings. I don't know. I don't know where you go. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think they win. I think the Dodgers win by like 5 runs both games, and then it's over. It's going to be the most boring game boring series to watch. And the shittiest thing about it is it's the primetime spot for us on the West Coast. So this is going to be the only game that we can watch on Wednesday and Thursday. Like, we're going to have to deal with this bullshit and see it'll be the only game on. Like, there's not much to talk about here. Mookie's going to whoop their ass. Max Muncy's going to whoop their ass. I mean, Bellinger's been struggling a little bit lately, but like, Kershaw's having like the year of his career, and then you get Walker Buehler back. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think, and I don't have the advanced stats in front of me, or I didn't look it up. But who knows? The Brewers' rotation might be a better outside of Miller Park team, just because Miller Park is very hitter oriented. But when you're going against a Dodgers team that just everybody can hit bombs off you, as we saw last week. Yeah, there's that chance. So, conclusion for the series, I think the Dodgers are going to win both games in advance. Chris?
Let me give you, I mean, I agree, but let me give you the stats of the Brewers starting pitchers this year, other than Corbin Burns, because he has a 2.2 ERA, so he's probably going to be the starter game 1. He's 4-1. He's pitched 59 innings. Brett Anderson, 4 wins, 4 losses. 4.21 ERA, 10 games started. He's pitched 47 innings. Is he healthy? I believe so. 32 strikeouts, 1.28 whip. But he's given up 6 home runs. Okay, that's option 1. And I want you to pick one. You have to pick one of these options, Julio. So I'm going to give you the options, and you have to pick one.
I should have told me that before. I would have paid more attention.
I thought about doing that midway through me saying that. Okay, so do you want me to say Brett Anderson's stats again?
Go for sure. Why not?
Okay, 4-4, 4.21 ERA, 10 starts, 32 strikeouts, 22 earned runs, 47 innings pitched, and a 1.28 whip.
Okay.
Brandon Woodruff, 13 starts, 3-5. 3.05 ERA, 73 innings pitched, pretty good. He has 91 strikeouts. He only gave up 25 runs, 0.99 whip. It's not bad. Joshua Lindblom, 12 starts, 2-4, 5.16 ERA, 52 strikeouts. Gave up 26 runs, 6 homers, 1.28 whip. Option A, option B, or option C. And I forgot to say, for option B, Brandon Woodruff. Gave up 9 home runs this season.
It's not bad.
Yeah, but that's the most of all the starters.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Um,
Option A, Brett Anderson. Option B, Brandon Woodruff. Option C, Josh Lindblom. There's other options, but they're really not worth saying.
well, shout out to Josh Lindboom, KBO legend. Learned a lot about KBO at the beginning
Sure.
of this quarantine.
Yes.
But I think you would have to go Woodruff game 2, especially if that's gonna be the tricky thing. Where I wouldn't be shocked if we see managers skipping guys where it's like, if let's say if somehow the Brewers win game 1 with Corbin Burns on the mound, and then it's like, all right, we gotta crush them while we're here. Let's bring in Woodruff. He can close out game 2 because we know based like pitching records, like win-loss records are stupid. There's not much valid like arguments around it. But that being said, like it's going to be interesting. I would probably go Woodruff game 2 just because if you need the win there, you got to take it. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their bullpen guys. They're not great either. There's some that are really good. I mean, like obviously Josh Hader, his ERA is not great this season, but Yardley's good, 1.54 ERA. Devin Williams, 0.33 ERA.
Well,
he had 22
Devin-
appearances.
yeah, that's going to be so. That's kind of another like X factor, I guess, is like if somebody shits the bed in the first 3-4 innings as a starter, you can pretty much rely on Devin Williams, who's probably been like the best mid reliever in baseball. Him and our guy Jake Diekman.
Okay, so if they push it to game 3, who starts game 3? Option A or option C? Probably option A. I would say Anderson because he's Mr. Consistent at least. At least you know what you get with him.
Yeah, I guess, but it's not going to get to that.
No.
Are we both going Dodgers 2 games?
Yeah. I think it's a blowout both games too. Okay, let's move on to the next series, which is the Padres at the 4 seed taking on the San Diego Padres taking on the St. Louis Cardinals at the 5 seed. So at first glance with this matchup, it's kind of interesting because with the seeding, you would think that they'd be a lot closer of a matchup, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm underestimating the NL Central a little bit, but I feel like the Padres are just a better baseball team all around. Although they don't have Mike Clevenger to start off their series, which is going to be tough. But they're playing in Padres ballpark, which is a pitcher's ballpark. Even though I remember Julio, you said something about they moved in the fences, I think, this past
Yeah, at least they tried to, but
Yeah.
I don't know when this last time that happened
But
or when
like,
it actually happened.
yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are always good, but I just feel like they're always just kind of there. They don't. There's nothing really special about them. Like they got smoked by the Nationals last year in the ALCS. I don't know. I mean, and also maybe the Padres are just media hype because they were the fun team to watch this year. What do you think?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, the Cardinals definitely have the playoff if it matters, at least right now in this weird like 2020 bubble season, is they have the playoff pedigree. They were in the NLCS last year. A lot guys like Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright have been to the World Series multiple times now. They kind of hold the upper hand in that, but when it comes to talent, I think the Padres kind of blow them out. But you bring up the point without Clevenger, it's going to be tricky. The bullpen for the Padres has actually been pretty stout now with getting Trevor Rosenthal to kind of figure out what they're doing
Yeah, that's a good
with
point.
like him and like Drew Pomeranz, and I'm not sure if Angel Pagan's back yet. I remember he was hurt. This is going to be pretty fun. I think
Emilio Pagan? You said Angel Pagan.
Former Giant great, that's right. Yeah, Emilio Pagan, sorry. This is probably going to be this is like a toss-up to be like the most competitive series in the National League. This is something that I think it's definitely going to go 3 games though.
I mean, the Cardinals barely went over 500. But again, maybe the Central is just a lot more competitive.
Well, I think it also kind of benefits. We're going to see it with the AL too. Now that I see this all in writing, is like you got three AL teams from the Central, and then you have four NL teams from the Central. It just shows you they just took advantage of kicking the crap out of the Royals, the Tigers, and the Pirates. That they just were beating them down to take advantage and get them where they were at. Um, but it's you have to remember too for the Cardinals at least, they had the COVID test, or that's when they kind of had that mini outbreak more or less, and they lost like
Yeah.
10 days out of the season. So the fact that they still made it into the playoffs despite all that, it kind of shows you like what could this team have been in a full 60 game season if they didn't have any positive tests and they were able to keep guys like Jack Flaherty pitching consistently where we could have seen what he could have been this season.
I think an important thing about the Cardinals team is like they had bounce back years from guys who really needed to have bounce back years. Like Paul Goldschmidt did not have a good first year in St. Louis last year. He did great this year. 304, 6 home runs, like 21 RBIs, like a lot better. Colton Wong was iffy, but he also had injuries. Same with Paul DeJong. Yadier Molina played a lot better this year. Their DH, Brad Miller, had a huge fucking year. We'll see. I mean, I just remember last year, like Goldschmidt and Marcell Ozuna, who's not in this team anymore. He's on the Braves, but basically their two best players went cold right when the playoffs started. And like, you can't have that. You have to have your 3 and 4 hitter, like, be on top of their shit in the playoffs. Like they need to, when there's runners on base, you got to bring those guys home. Something that I was kind of talking about in our group chat earlier today about the A's. Sneak preview for later on this podcast. So if they're going to play well, then they definitely can be successful. But there's just so many sluggers. There's just so many big bats on the Padres.
Yeah,
it's just, I think it could go to 3 games. I definitely think it could. I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
I think this is going to go to 3. And yeah, it'll be tighter. I don't think there's going to be any blowouts. I think this will go 3 games. The Padres will still win it. I just think, like, yeah, not having Clevenger this opening round, but like Dennis Lamet has been, we talked about him last week. That guy's been one of the best pitchers in the National League by far. Zach Davies had a great bounce back. And just the bullpen's going to hold him up. And plus, when you have, in my opinion, the best current player on the planet right now, Tatis, and then Manny Machado's putting up MVP numbers. Will Myers, there's so much to get through with this lineup that it'll just drain out the Cardinals. So
yeah, and I just want to touch on your point earlier you made because I forgot to touch on it earlier. The pitching, you're right. The Cardinals pitching has been starting pitching has been really good this year, and you're gonna go against Flaherty and Wainwright, 1-2. Like they're having. Flaherty's had a little bit more of a down year, but he's still Jack Flaherty, and Wainwright's having a huge bounce back year. So.
Dude, shout out to Adam Wainwright.
The guy is like 50 years old. He's still pitching and he's still killing it. And he's still on the Cardinals, which is the coolest part about it.
You don't see that much with pitchers.
No.
Really?
No. He has a career a lot like his protege, Chris Carpenter, dude. Just like one team and always just consistently an above average pitcher.
I was going to know, Chris Carpenter was with the Blue Jays. That's who he started off with.
Oh, and then he got traded to the Cardinals. Oh, it felt like he was on that team.
Yeah, he's been there since
early in his career though, because he was there for like 20 years.
I was a sophomore in high school when Adam Wainwright started pitching for the Cardinals.
Jesus. All right, should we move on to the next one?
What's your prediction though? So I said Padres in 3.
I think I want to go against you just to kind of see where we land at the end of it. So I'm gonna go Cardinals in 3. And after you brought up the pitching, it kind of made me think a little bit. And then I pulled up the stats of the starting pitchers and I was like, oh shit, like Julio's got a good point.
I'm going to write these down too. So we know.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I definitely think 3 games, but if it goes to 2, if someone just pulls out 2 close wins, I wouldn't be surprised either. But I think they'll be close games. All right, next series is the Chicago Cubs as a 3 seed going against the Miami Marlins as a 6 seed. Cubs had an amazing season. Hats off to them. And great hire in getting what's his face, David Ross in to manage his team. Impressive. Ian Happ has had an amazing year this year. Who would have thought? Miami, I don't really know too much about him, Julio. I don't. Maybe you can enlighten me.
Yeah, you would think that us listening to the Levitard show,
Yeah.
we would be a little more versed. But
they don't get into detail, though. They don't really get into detail.
I mean, it's weird. Yeah, a couple things the Marlins do really well. They're fast. They're a super fast team. I'd have to look it up. I believe they're like top 5 or 3 when it comes to steals. So that's going to show you how they're going to play, especially when you don't have a huge boppers. But if you're going to look out for the boppers, of course, look out for Starling Marte. They made the trade with the Marlins or with the Diamondbacks a few months ago at the trade deadline. And the other guys, I'm trying to think who's their third baseman.
I'm pulling up their roster right now.
Yeah, thank you. But while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about their pitching. Brian Anderson, thank you. Brian Anderson's actually been a pretty decent offensive player. But if there's going to be some guys that you should really pay attention to, not for what they're going to do right now, but like a career trajectory, Sixto Sanchez is going to be the next great Marlins pitcher. And if they're going to have a chance of winning the series, he's got to ball out. He's been excellent this year in his rookie campaign. He's got his, if you want to describe his stuff, he throws huge heat. One of his idols is Pedro. And he actually wanted to wear 45, and he didn't because when he got called up to the majors, they just gave him this number and he just kind of stuck to it. But I think in the next season, he's going to transition to the 45. But he's going to be pretty excellent. The bullpen's okay. Brian Kinsler is out there closing out games. Just kind of like an underrated closer. It got him from the Cubs. But the Cubs this is probably for the lack of this is probably the biggest bout team. If you look at how they finished last season, they missed the playoffs. Joe Madden left to come down here to get some California sun.
Did you almost say
Bryant
Joel Madden?
Did not have a good season at all.
The singer of
Good Charlotte.
Good Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Shout out to Lifetimes of Richard Famous. But Chris Bryant didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
Javi did not have much of a great season either. But their rotation is really what saved them throughout this year.
Dude, yeah. Yu Darvish, big bounce back here. And he needed it. He needed it bad. Especially after, he was one of the guys who
He's the ace.
Yeah, and he was the guy who came out and said that he was really affected by the World Series, and then to find out that they were cheating, he kind of got he didn't admit to getting the yips, but he kind of admitted to getting the yips from that Game 7 start. And then he found out they were cheating, and it just kind of mixed feelings, I guess. He said he got in a little bit of depression. So I'm really happy to see that he bounced back this year. Yeah, I mean, Jason Hayward played really good this year too. Wilson Contreras, I'm a little upset with. He had a pretty bad year, but as a catcher, it's tough.
Rizzo performed like he usually does. Yeah. But yeah, Yu Darvish is probably it's the Cy Young race is between him and Trevor Bauer in the National League, and I personally think he should win, not because I put money on him back in August to win Cy Young, but just to see how far he's bounced back from kind of washed couple seasons. But it's not just him. Kyle Hendricks is a pretty consistent starter.
Oh yeah.
John Lester has showed.
I think his age is showing, man. I think his age is showing.
But his first 5 starts, he looked really solid, and then who knows? But of course, when you're going against the rest of the Central divisions with lineups like the Indians and the White Sox, Cardinals, Brewers, like Reds. If you can perform in that against those teams with those lineups, you're pretty solid.
Yeah.
But like, what do you really think could help the Marlins win, if anything? Because like this Cubs team is pretty well rounded. I don't think there's going to be much of a chance for them.
Nothing. I don't think there's anything they could do. I mean, at the end of the day, yes. Look, Anthony Rizzo hit 222. Let's see. Kyle Schwarber hit 190, 188. Chris Bryant
Overrated, but
206. Javier Baez hit 203. Sure, they had bad years, but at the end of the day, when you look at a lineup card, and it starts off with Jason Hayward leading off, Ian Happ hitting second, Javi Baez hitting third, Anthony Rizzo hitting fourth, and Chris Bryant hitting fifth, you're like, where's the break there? Because at the end of the day, that is a talented 1 through 5. A very talented 1 through 5. And as an opposing pitcher,
big time.
You don't know who you're going to pitch around. So I don't think this is close. I think that the Marlins are a modest 6 seed because the NL's what is
East.
That? East, yeah, NL East just wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be this year, which is how the Marlins snuck in there over the Phillies and the Mets. Yeah, I mean the Cubs were a 2 seed up until today. No. I think this is 2 games and it's over. Also going against Yu Darvish and Kyle Hendricks, like that's tough. That's a tough one.
Now, you're going against the Marlins being 2 for 2 in their playoffs appearances, where both times have been the playoffs. They've won the World Series.
Yeah, because this playoff format never existed, and you wouldn't. If you were a 6 seed in the past, you wouldn't even be in the playoffs. So it's no. Yeah, sorry, Le Batard and friends.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we're both on the same boat. Cubs, both games.
Yeah. Oh, you're taking them 2 games and none too.
Yeah. I even though it's kind of hyping up Sixto, he's still been pretty inconsistent. And
that's why I'm a little shocked with your result on that one. You're just like,
this isn't the team you'd be inconsistent with. Was a team where its core was a former World Series champion, and these are guys who are veterans who are going to be able to know how to wait on this. So,
dude, and I mean, like 2.01 ERA for Darvish, 2.88 for Kyle Hendricks. Like, what are we talking about here? This is probably, I don't know, in the National League, this is probably the best 1-2. Actually, no, maybe Kershaw and Buehler. But Buehler, we don't have a sample size from this season.
Or
in terms of sample size from this season, this is the best 1-2 punch starting pitching that we're seeing in the National League.
That's a great transition, Chris, because I'm going to tell you the actual best 1-2 punch in the National League. We got Braves versus the Reds with Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray. Boom. Nope, come on.
I would okay. So if we're going one versus one, Bauer I would say is a little bit more threatening than Darvish, but 2. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here we are. Braves, Reds. The games will be taking place in Atlanta with the Reds as the road team, who the Reds also, it was a kind of a long shot to make it in, and a lot of stuff had to go down over the last 10, 14 days where they finally snuck their way in, and they are the 7th seed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Chris, what's your first thoughts when you look at this series?
I don't know if the powerhouse offense of the Braves can get past the starting pitching of the Reds, and which is how you change my mind so quick. Because now that I think about it, to have to go up against that game 1 and 2 is tough. And I'll give the Reds, their offense hasn't been great, but they have some star-studded power. They have some star-studded people in that lineup that can get the job done. But fuck, dude, to go up against Bauer and Gray, oh man, I love Freddie Freeman's so good, but I mean, I don't know how well he does in those two first games. Yeah.
Straight up. I if you remember way back and felt like 6 years ago when we were baseball opening season pod. I don't remember if it was for this show or for the Magic Hour, just some seasons. I was high on the Braves from the beginning of the or the Reds from the beginning of the season, and they kind of stumbled out the gate. And now that you look in retrospective, when you're going against these two divisions, when you have teams that hit bombs like the White Sox, Twins, Indians, and you're going against pitching like the Cubs and the Cardinals, yeah, there's going to be some bumps in the road. But to me, I think this is probably, it might be going a little hot take. I think this is probably the best team to make a run for their money, for the Dodgers' money right now. For the sake of, you are more or less, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but you have a significant chance of winning when it's going to be Bauer and Gray. And then game 3 is going to be Luis Castillo, who's, yes, rough start. He's been pitching great.
I was just about to comment on that. And then you got Tyler. You got how do you pronounce his last name? Tyler
Stevenson? Catcher?
No, the number 4 pitcher. Anyway, they have abundance of them. There's also Wade Miley. I mean, like.
So, and it's the Braves. Look, the Braves have been outstanding offensively. Acuna has been doing Acuna things again. Marcell Ozuna, dude, I picked him like a late pick in our fantasy draft for baseball. Guy became one of the best hitters in baseball. I did not expect that to happen. Freddie Freeman's probably going to be, I think he should be the MVP in the National League, at least a top 3 candidate. But man, once you get past Max Fried, with that rotation, it's a little bumpy for the Braves. It'd be a different story if everybody was healthy from the get-go with like Cole Hamels, even though we don't know what he could really provide at this point at his age. And I'm spacing out. Who's the guy that tore his Achilles way back when? The Brave starter?
Hold on. I'm looking it up right now. Sorry.
But if they were around, they would have a chance. But this is my this is the Julio stamp of upset right here. I think the Reds are going to take this series.
You can't stack up against that 1, 2, 3. It's really that simple. Like that's of the Reds. Like that's, I mean, I'm looking at their stats and it's like all 3 of them are like 3.5 ERA and under. Like they've really been that dominant this year. Yeah, I mean, if you're Atlanta, obviously you have Max Fried, which is good. Like that's a really good matchup to go against Bauer in game 1. But yeah, after that, your options are pretty limited. I don't know. Would you go Tommy Milone?
No.
Yeah,
Tommy Malone's been getting lit up. I love the guy, former Oakland Gate, but he's not been a dependent
Mike
option.
Soraka was the guy who got hurt.
Thank you, Mike Soraka. It sucks because he has been pitching great up until that point. But
Ian Anderson, 1.95.
Yeah. Actually, no, that's a really good option. But it's hard to kind of.
And then maybe Kyle Wright. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at their starters, and it's like their ERA, like Robbie Erlin, 8.49. Josh Tomlin, 4.76.
Josh Tomlin's still pitching?
Yeah, he is. He only had 5 starts. He came out of the bullpen mostly, but still. Yeah, man. It's Tommy Milone, 14.9. I mean, but then you look at the Reds hitters, and like no one is hitting over 250. Like even Nick Castellanos is 245.
I don't know if this is because of us. I think the one thing, because of how weird the season has been, and I've kind of learned to like accept this, is for a 60-game schedule, I feel like batting average is overrated.
Okay. All right.
Like that. That's just it because it's such small of a sample size, and I try not to dwell too much on it. More so like if they have a really because look, if you look at the A's, for example, if you look at their team batting average, it's crap. But if you look at their team on base percentage, it's still pretty like high up there because they walk a ton and they get hit like every other at bat.
One thing the Reds do very well is they smack the shit out of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Castellano, 14 home runs. Eugenio Suarez, 15 home runs. Joey Votto, 11 home runs. Jesse Winkler, 12 home runs. Mike Moustakas, 8 home runs. Like, they are fucking bombing it. So, yeah, I mean, if they can get guys on base, which they aren't good at that, doing that. Like,
yeah,
the best average on the team is Akiyama, 245.
Oh, yeah.
No, Jesse Winkler, 255.
Oh, I got it. Akiyama's tight. Outfielder.
So that's the problem. You can hit as many home runs as you can, but if you're only knocking in one run at a time, then you're playing. You know, it's a long ladder. You got to go up. It's like you're taking very small steps. You got to get multiple runners home.
But when you have Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray as the guys pitching, they're not gonna give up. Yeah, and we can go on and on.
And if you're pitching against Kyle Wright and Ian Anderson, maybe that is possible. Maybe you could do it. Maybe you could make it happen.
And also the fact that the rotation is able to do what they've done in Great American Ballpark, very hitter friendly. Still pretty. Yeah. So what's your final prediction?
I had Braves in 3.
Braves in 3.
I can't go against the Braves, even though I hear what you're saying, but Freddie Freeman and fucking Dansby Swanson, Ronald Acuna, and fucking even Marcell Ozuna, even though those guys aren't playing so well, they're still good, man. They're still that's still a good talented team, and I can't just throw them by the wayside.
My expectations for the Reds were pretty solid to start the season, and they started sluggish, and I look at the rest, what they've had to play. And it makes sense. I'm still sticking with my guns. I'm going Reds in 3.
I mean, dude, I'm looking at the offensive stats for the Braves, and I don't know if you necessarily want to stick with that. Like of their stars, no one is hitting below 250.
Cool. Well, when you're playing,
Marcell Ozuna, 18 home runs. Freddie Freeman, 13. Ronald Acuna, 14. Adam Duvall, 16. Dansby Swanson, 10. Ozzy Albies, 6. I mean, they can bomb it too, dude. They can bomb it too.
I know, but what my point? When you have the benefit where we go against the Mets team is once you get past DeGrom in the part of the rotation, light them up. You're going against Baltimore, light them up. Nationals, when it's not Scherzer, light them up. I think the East divisions have been so bad that they've been a good team to take advantage of that, where they hit the shit out of the ball when you're playing against the bad. Because that's what you do when you're a good team is you don't play down to the level team you're playing. You play up and you take advantage of it. So you
just think the teams at the top are just dominating against the really shitty teams in the East divisions?
I think so. When you play the Nationals, the Orioles, the Mets, Philly is kind of a Philly's a whole thing. That's a whole disaster.
They're under 500, but yeah. They have some talent.
So quick rundown before we jump into the American League of our picks for the Dodgers-Brewers series. We both picked the Dodgers in 2. For the Padres-Cardinals series, I picked the Padres in 3. Chris picked the Cardinals. Or I picked the Padres in 3. Chris picked the Cardinals in 3. Try to say that 5 times.
Did you almost call me Chris Christie? I would have slapped you in the face.
Well, when you have Chris picked the Cards. Chris picked the Cards, yeah. But anyways, I picked Pods in 3. He picked Cards in 3. Braves, Reds. I picked the Reds in 3. He picked the Braves in 3. And then we're both in unison for the Cubs in 2. Now let's jump over to our home, our safe space of a league, and the American
The
League.
American League, baby.
Chris, where do you want to start off? We're going to start from the top.
Yeah.
The two
So
teams that rhyme.
We'll start. Yeah. The Toronto Blue Jays as the 8 seed take on the 1 seed, the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, we said at the beginning of the year, the season preview podcast, the Rays are just really good, really talented young team. It's no surprise that they, especially with all the injuries that the Yankees had, it's no surprise that the Rays were able to edge out and win the division. On top of just having a really good talent offensive team, their fucking starting rotation is just really top heavy. They have two of the best, I don't know, 10 pitchers in the league, maybe just the American League, but definitely the league. Yeah, man. I think this goes 2-0. I think the Rays are just too good.
I look.
I'm happy for the Blue Jays, though. I'm happy for the Blue Jays.
No, hell yeah, Buffalo Blue Jays. They deserve it. Like, go drink some blue. What's the Canadian beer that one drinks in Buffalo? I can't remember. Anyways,
no idea what you're talking about.
There's a very Canadian beer that's like they have the brewery in Buffalo as well. I actually walked by it too and stuff. I can't remember the name. Anyways, yes, the Rays. We know how good Blake Snell's been. We don't really hear a lot of talk about it because of the dominance of Shane Bieber and Giolito's no-hitter and Garrett Cole, but he's still maintaining a pretty good season. Not a Cy Young season like he had a couple years ago, but he's still maintaining the course. Tyler Glasnow, inconsistency, he kind of gets hit, but when he's on, again, one of the most talented pitchers.
Yeah, he's got such good stuff.
If there's a way the Jays can get to this rotation, and I think they could because they have a lot of pop in that super young lineup, is Charlie Morton has not been good this season.
but he's a vet who has experience in the postseason. A lot of it. He's won a World Series. Like he's pitched in those big games.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the thing is, if we're going to play the vet, big game, all that stuff, and yes, he's won the World Series, he also cheated, or his team cheated when they won that World Series.
Yeah.
You can play that same card with the Toronto Blue Jays and Hyun-Jin Ryu, who Hyun-Jin Ryu has actually been pretty solid of a pitcher with the Blue Jays. He's been kind of the anchor for that rotation. And like the young lineup is just very appealing to me for the Blue Jays. I'm not going to pick the Rays straight up. I'll tell you that straight out of the bat. I don't think the Rays are probably the biggest contender in the American League because of how balanced they are from top to bottom. But I don't see this being a complete blowout of a series because of like the lineup with having Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Teoscar Hernandez. His bat has exploded this season. Has been a huge power threat for the Blue Jays. And if we have Hyun-Jin Ryu out there at least pitching a game and doing what he could do, he was a Cy Young finalist last year, then they can at least make it competitive. I don't think they're going to win it, but they'll be competitive, especially without Ken Giles.
I think that the AL East is just like what you said in the last segment, very overrated. Mainly because and also mainly because it is at the center of this country's media storm in New York. So it's great that the Blue Jays are here. They're a young team who has a bright future, but I'm not hopping on this bandwagon. Who do you think starts game 2 for the Blue Jays? Robbie Ray, Taijuan Walker, or Tanner Roark?
Tanner Roark. First off, come on, former Oakland great. Shout out to Tanner Roark. But Taijuan Walker's actually been pretty lights out since he's gone over to the Blue Jays.
1.37 ERA.
That's what happens when you leave Seattle, man. It's like almost. It kind of sucks. Outside of like James Paxton, but you kind of see that. Guys figure out who they really are.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be Walker, but there's a lot of stuff going on. I think my full-on prediction. I do think the Jays will at least pick up a game. I could see them picking up the Ryu start, but the Rays are just there's too much going on that lineup
Yeah.
where I think it's going to be the Rays in 3.
I also think the inexperience is going to be a big counterproductive, negative. No, that doesn't make sense. It's going to be a big negative for the Blue Jays. I feel like when it comes down to the big moments in the late innings, they're just not going to show up, and it's just going to be a one of those games. I think is going to be an epic choke job. I really do. We've seen it through the eyes of being an A's fan for years. That these young teams just they don't know how to handle the postseason. There's just the pressure and everything. Now, granted, there's no one in the stands, so I think that helps a little bit because your nerves are a little bit more tamed. But it's a really young team going against a fucking powerhouse, and I'm sorry, man. I can't give the Blue Jays a game. I just can't. I can't.
So you're going Rays too?
Yeah.
All right.
Rays in 2 games. All right. Next one, which is going to be a fun one. The number 4 seed Cleveland Indians take on the number 5 seed New York Yankees, playing all games in Cleveland. We're going against probably the best starting rotation in all of playoffs. Against probably, say what you will about this season, but biggest star-studded poppity power pop lineup. Can the Yankees sluggers overcome the dirty starting pitchers that the Indians have in 1 through 3? I mean, I don't even know if we'll, it's the Yankees. We'll probably get to a game 3, but can they do it? I don't know, Julio. I don't know.
I don't want to offend our dudes with over Rob Schlatter at the 4 Train Savages podcast.
Shout out to the 4 Train Savages podcast.
Yeah. I don't like. It sucks. It's this Yankees team is built. This is a playoff World Series built team, dude. I'm so glad you guys got this playoff spot, and it's not us because I don't think it's gonna go 3. I think it's the Indians. You got Shane Bieber, who Cy Young, easy. It's in his pocket already. They're already probably UPSing it to him as we speak. I think he's probably going to win I think he should win the AL MVP because of him getting the Triple Crown in pitching. The dude's been ungodly for this insane season that we've had. And then, okay, cool. Well, we got past him. That's the worst that we could get through. Let's say if a hypothetical game 1's going to be Cole Bieber. Well, Cole, you know how he's been. You've had him on your team. He's had the strikeout stuff, but his ERA, he's settled back into it, but he was pretty shaky to start the season. We kind of predicted that was going to happen because of that adjustment to playing in Yankee Stadium. But when you get into game 2, when you have Carlos Cookie Carrasco, who's just been a huge strikeout machine this year, ERA, I think it's low 3-ish. What's going to be the Yankees' opposition to it? Are you going to
Carlos
put Tanaka?
Carrasco is 2.9 ERA.
Yeah, what's the Yankees' opposition going to be against it? Are you going to throw out Tanaka, who he's been fine this year, but not Cookie Carrasco fine? Are you going to throw out J.A. Happ? Are you going to throw out Jordan Montgomery? I'm sorry, it's just there's just a huge disparity between the 1 and 2 in Cleveland and the 1 and 2 in New York.
If James Paxton was healthy, does he get the ball in game 2? I still don't even think he gets it in game 2.
No, because even when he was healthy, he sucked.
Yeah.
I had him on my team.
I mean, I don't really know what your options are if you're the Yankees, especially playing in Yankees ballpark. There's nothing really that stands out. I mean, I'm trying to look it up right now. Let's see.
And the one thing that us and Yankee fans have been very clamoring about is the bullpen. The Yankees have invested into this bullpen. They've put so much money into Adam Ottavino and Zach Brin and Aroldis Chapman. But guess what? They haven't been what they should have been this year. They're not there.
Yeah.
And There should have been a reason where
Zach Britton's been great though. Zach Britton's been great.
Yeah, but it's there haven't been what they should have been so far this year.
Yeah.
Granted, when Aaron Judge missed a huge chunk of the season and Giancarlo Stanton, that's besides the point, dude. Chris, you could go out there and hit 280 and at least 10 bombs at Yankee Stadium. It doesn't matter who it is. You're there to produce. When you have their backup catcher, I can't remember his name. The guy hit like 3 home runs in a game a week or two ago.
Yeah, everybody's been deep-throating Luke Voigt all season because of his 20 home runs. But, dude, I mean, the guy's built like a fucking truck, and he's playing in Yankee Stadium that gives you at least like 20 feet for your home run bomb.
Luke Voigt is built like somebody we would see at the Brentwood softball fields.
Yes.
And then we'd go to tailgaters afterwards in Brentwood, and he'd be there.
And he'd be shooting himself up with steroids in the bathroom in between shots.
Allegedly.
I mean, I'm not saying he actually does that. I'm painting a picture towards this fantasy that we're designing. Masahiro Tanaka 3.56 ERA. I mean, it's probably going to be him.
Yeah, and he's been pretty solid most of the season.
And let's say, hypothetically, the Yankees get it to Game 3. Guess who you're playing in Game 3? Zach Plesac, 2.28 ERA, 4-2, with a .8 WHIP. 0.8.
Yeah, we haven't.
Good luck, Yankees.
We haven't even talked about the Indians' actual lineup, where if Shane Bieber isn't going to win the MVP, there's a good chance that it's going to be Jose Ramirez.
I was going to say Jose Ramirez, yeah.
So this is look. We've talked about this on our Twitter account. We talked about this in our show. I am not a religious person, but I am counting my blessings for the fact that the White Sox aren't the best matchup. I am counting my blessings it's not the Indians, because it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be a pretty series, and there's going to be a lot of clamoring going on in New York when this series is over.
It's to be fair, their batting order is very top heavy, and then it really falls off. The rest of their team, their role players are not good.
No.
But Lindor,
and I guess that's the key to winning.
But then Lindor, Hernandez, Ramirez, and Reyes and Santana. That's brutal. That's a brutal 1 through 5. I mean, Santana's had a little bit of a down year, but he can still hit it out of the park, even though he's getting up there.
And he can play a guitar.
That's pretty cool.
Now, do you see
they definitely have an offense to match with the Yankees, but it's not 1 through 9 like the Yankees is.
Do you see Indians benefiting from their more greatness because of, again, that Central beating up on those bottom tier teams?
That's the thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, because I don't know how bad those teams are. I think
the Pirates are pretty bad. I'll tell you straight up that. I somehow watched a decent chunk of Pirates games this year, and they're not a good team.
This season is so hard to judge what teams are actually good and what teams are actually bad, because they only got to play the teams in their region. So, for example, we're very on the fence about the NL Central. 3 teams in the NL Central made it to the playoffs, but we don't know necessarily how good the NL Central is. Are they just kind of beating up on each other, and they're all not good, and they didn't face any real good teams this season? Same thing with the AL Central. It's just so up in the air. The only way we're gonna figure out real quick which divisions were the real deal and which were fakers in the last series that we're going to cover in this podcast. I'll just leave it at that, because it's the AL West going against the AL Central, and yeah, we're going to find out real quick in Game 1 who's for real and who's not. It's just, and again, I mean, they're only playing three of those teams. So, and how many games did you play against like your non-division this season? Like 6 to 8. Like the Indians played, and the Royals are in their division. They played the Royals 8 to 10. Like that's not. I don't know if that's enough of a sample size to really like be like, yeah, they're beating up on them, so they got all these wins against them. You know, like it's just, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not articulating this very well, but I just feel like there's no. I don't know. I don't know how to judge it. I really don't.
Well, it's your time to actually judge it. I have the Indians in 2. I think just Bieber's just too lights out. Carrasco is the top heaviness of Carrasco against a Tanaka or anybody else. Yankees can throw out as their 2. I don't think there's a chance.
Because we're playing in Yankee Stadium, I got to go with the Yankees in 3.
No, it's in Cleveland.
I thought the Yankees were the
no?
5 seed. Oh, yeah. Duh. I said at the top of the thing. That's a changer a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah. Luke Voigt's not going to be able to hit 5 home runs in Yankee Stadium. All right, I'm going to take Cleveland in 3 then. That does change a lot. It does change a lot. Because like guys like Gary Sanchez, who literally all they do is hit home runs, and it's mainly because they play in Yankee Stadium. They're not going to look as good in the Indians ballpark.
That's right, Gary Sanchez. What is he, Chris?
I don't know. What is he?
I thought you're gonna. You've been on the Gary Sanchez overrated train for a long time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Overrated.
Overrated. Sorry.
There you go. All right. Now the next series, before we jump into the reason why we're all here with the A's, is we're going to talk about our most hated team, the Astros. The Astros are going to be the road team as the 6th seed going against the 3 seed Minnesota Twins over
Minnesota.
Well, the reason I was saying Minnesota is because I was going to say Minnesota and Target Field. The Twins, we know to expect in terms of their offense is they're going to hit the shit out of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
With the lineup of the ageless Nelson Cruz, Miguel Sano, Josh Donaldson, I know he was a little beat up. I have to check if he's going to be able to play in this series.
From what I've heard, he is. He's expected to play.
Got it. Eddie Rosario decided to catch fire towards the end of the season. The Twins, again, we know what they did last year. I think they believe they set the Major League record for the most home runs in a season until the Yankees broke it, and then the Yankees also broke their season, eliminated them in the first round, and their rotation has finally kind of caught up to pace. Kenta Maeda, coming over from LA, has been dominant. He's been awesome this year. He's going to probably be like a top 5 Cy Young finalist, but again, there's a guy in Cleveland that'll win it. Once you get past that, though, it's going to be a little shaky. You have Jose Barrios, who's been a little bit all over the place after having a pretty solid couple last years. And then it's going to get more shakier with guys like Rich Hill or Homer Bailey to finish out that rotation. And then what else can we say about the Astros? You've all heard us talk about them so much throughout the season. You've all probably watched them so much because of what we've seen at that rotation. Anything you want to add more for the Astros that could really benefit with them? Obviously, the playoff experience helps, but
they've got a fringe 40-year-old man starting their first game of their playoff series. And then after that, I don't even know who the fuck starts there for them. Jose Altuve hit .212 this season. I don't give a shit what you say about batting average. That is proof that he was just heavy reliant on cheating to be successful. Actually, you know what? My uncle tweeted me some very interesting little things today about the Astros. It's going to take me a while to find them, so never mind.
Oh, go ahead and find it. I'll talk a little bit more about the Astros because it seems like that's going to be pretty solid. Their team's starting to get a little bit healthy offensively wise. Bregman will be there. Springer will be there. Altuve will bring there. But Brantley and Reddick are former Oakland great, but we don't really acknowledge them anymore. Besides the point, they're not cheating anymore. And it showed. They finished under 500, actually. They finished 29 or below 500. I don't know what the exact record is. But, yeah, this is not your father's Astros, to coin the phrase.
So, this is how much cheating was important to them. Yes, small sample size. Whatever. Jose Altuve, sorry, he didn't hit 212, he hit 215. Yuli Gurriel, 240. George Springer, 258. Alex Bregman, a man who a lot of us were like, Nah, he's too talented. He didn't need cheating. He's just a good baseball player. 240. Carlos Correa, 257. Josh Reddick, 238. That was their averages this season. Compared to last year, they all danced around 275 and up.
You don't say. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they're going to get smoked. I mean,
it's going to be beautiful.
It's pretty simple. They suck. The Twins are really good. I mean, it's
if they were to stand a chance.
That's it.
What would need? Okay, go ahead.
Let me just. I want to add some stats that are very interesting about the Twins. You didn't even bring up Nelson Cruz.
No, I did. I brought up I said the ageless Nelson Cruz. I didn't get to the stats part, but I brought him up.
Whoops. You said Eddie Rosario, 13 home runs, 250. Jorge Polanco, 258. Byron Buxton, big bounce back season.
Yep, that's right. That's
254, 13 home runs. I mean, they're like the Yankees. They're stacked from 1 to 9. Like, even their role guys are good. Like, Marwin Gonzalez, maybe not so much. Anyway, I mean, they're just fucking good. They're just fucking good.
Yeah,
and
I think Kenta Maeda wants some blood after that 17 World Series where he got robbed of a ring.
So 6-1, 2.7 ERA.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
Holy shit!
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, totally.
It kind of sucks for the Dodgers because, like, damn, they could have used him as a 3, but here we are.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
I think it's the Twins sweep. I mean, what are we even talking about? Like,
yeah.
I mean, the Astros are so bad. They've been exposed. I love that they suck. I don't know who pitches the game 2 for them.
Flamber Flores or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the Twins are like. I mean, we were talking about it when we were texting about it all week about like who we wanted to be our matchup. If for some reason we were to get the 2 seed, which unfortunately we did. I don't think it's any secret. Me and Julio talked about it last podcast. We were very open about how we wanted to be the 3 seed so we could match up against the shitty Astros, which I think are the worst team in the American League playoff side. We were like, I just hope it's not the Twins. Like White Sox, maybe I could deal with. What was the other Central team? The Indians, they would suck, but the Twins, they're just hitting so well. Like that would definitely be the most fearful. I don't think it's close. I think it's blowout for game 1 and 2.
Oh no, you meant I would want to see the Indians. Either team.
I don't want to see either of them, but the Twins kind of like they're just like their star power that they have on the offensive side would have been very scary. All right, so let's go. What was your pick?
Oh, I'm with you. The Twins at 2.
Yeah.
Just their Maeda, I think it's just going to be lights out, and they need whoever's going to pitch the second day for the Twins. Yeah. That offense is going to pick up for them. So it's the moment everybody's been waiting for, though. So we've been hanging out with us for. We got A's hosting the Chicago White Sox.
Wasn't the matchup we exactly wanted, Julio, but it's what we got, and we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time, I guess. Playing both games in Oakland, thank God. Pitcher's Ballpark. We haven't heard exactly yet. We'll probably hear tomorrow at a press conference that Bob Melvin's having, but I would assume based on the time in which these pitchers pitched this past week, it'll be Luzardo game 1 and then Bassett game 2. And then if there's a game 3, Manaea game 3, because Luzardo came in an appearance on
Thursday night.
And then Bassett started Friday night, and then Manaea came in an appearance in a game on Saturday. So that's kind of what we're predicting. White Sox team that we've been talking a lot about. Me and Julio and my buddy Idris talked about it in my personal podcast, The Magic Hour, in a betting episode podcast about the White Sox and how we thought that they were a good futures bet for the World Series because they had really high odds and they're a really talented young team that they've just been stacking talent for the past 5 years through trades, and it's finally come up. They are scary. But if Bob Melvin can, in my opinion, arrange the batting order to where the hot guys are hitting the hot guys, meaning Canna, Grossman, Murphy, Piscotti,
Stella.
and LaStella. If those guys are hitting at the top of the lineup when runners are on, we can be successful. But when you put Matt Olson, who has been as cold as can be, hitting fourth, and every time he comes to the bat, there's two guys on, and he strikes out, it's counterproductive. If I look at the lineup on Tuesday and I see Matt Olson hitting fourth behind LaStella, Laureano, and like let's say Canna, I'm gonna be fucking pissed because I know that those or Grossman, I know that those guys are gonna get on, and I know that he's gonna strike out or fly out. I am gonna be fucking pissed.
You're very much Billy Bean conflicting with Art Howe about Carlos Pena and Scott Hatterberg right now.
Yes.
You ready to hear some numbers?
Yeah, Julio. So let's do a stat attack.
Stat attack.
This is a new segment that we're calling Stat Attack. It's when Julio looks up a bunch of stats and he fires them at us really quick with a bunch of numbers and a bunch of stats that'll paint us a picture before we get deeper into the analysis of this matchup as a whole. So, Julio, start firing them off.
Attack time. All right. First off, game 1 and 2 on Tuesday and Wednesday are both 12 p.m. games, which, if you don't know, that's during the day, and it's going to be a day game. Home day game record for the A's, 11-6. They have a 647 win percentage. That's really good. That's fantastic. We love to hear that. The run differential is they've scored 79 runs, allowed 67 runs. I'm assuming that last series against the Giants, when the Giants picked up 12 runs that Saturday game or Sunday game, didn't help this. But I don't think that's something too much to mill about. Chris Bassett, our projected probably game 1 starter,
Game
our
2 starter.
hero, or he will be. Oh, I'm sorry, game 2. Actually, let me go back with Jesus Luzardo then.
Yeah,
our
yeah.
game 1 starter,
Probably.
our rookie of the year. He's had two day game starts. One against the Astros, one against the Giants. He lasted 11.2 innings combined. And this is all combined numbers, by the way. 11 innings. Here we go. 11.2 innings, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 earned runs. He was 2-0 in those starts. Or the A's were 2-0 in those starts.
Great sign.
Bigger numbers. The last 3 starts, Luzardo has pitched combined 17.2 innings, 6 earned runs, 21 strikeouts. He's given up 1 walk, and the A's are 2-1 in that game. This does not include the Dodgers relief appearance. This is just his starts.
Okay.
Good sign. Bassett, probable game 2 starter.
6 earned runs is a little bit concerning, but
It's over 3 starts. Still,
Yeah,
2 runs
yeah.
a start. But
Yeah.
I believe there was a game where he kind of shit the bed a little bit. I don't have the exact thing in front of me. Bassett,
Okay.
game 2 projected starter. He's had 2 day game starts against the Angels. Innings are 9.2 innings because his first start against the Angels, he only went 4. I think this is before he realized what he could have been kind of thing and didn't really give him the leverage for it. 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 earned runs, and the A's are 1-1 in his starts. Now,
2 earned runs?
no, Chris, I haven't finished. Get ready. Last 3 starts, 19.2 innings, 1 earned run,
What the fuck?
5 walks, 21 strikeouts. The A's are 3-0 in his last 3 starts. So that's your key to winning. Now, I got some notes on the White Sox. I didn't bring up specific. I don't want to get too specific with the offensive stuff with both teams because I think we know so much about the A's. We can riff about it. And with the White Sox, I'll just give you this line. They score a shit ton, but they strike out a shit ton, and they walk very little. So that's a very big thing. They're not afraid to swing at anything. So when you have 2 guys like Bassett and Luzardo who can rack up 10-plus Ks in a start, don't be afraid to just throw your junk in the dirt, see what they can take kind of thing.
Based on those stats you just threw out, I mean, Luzardo and Bassett haven't been walking that many guys.
Yeah, and if you have a team is so excited to hit the shit out of the ball, there you go. but there's a downside. And I
Mhm.
think this will affect us if we make it to game 3. The White Sox are 20-0 against lefties this year.
But here's the thing. So I brought this up when you told me that. I brought this up in our group chat. I looked up like premier starters in the American League Central.
Lefty?
One of the top 10 are lefties, and the one is Tyler Boyd, who plays for the Detroit Tigers. So I'm just saying, like, he could be slinging it one day, but because it's the Tigers, they score 1 run. So all you got to do is score 2 runs. So that stat is very general, and it could be a little flawed. They have let's just say they have not seen 2 lefties like Luzardo and Manaya in the entire season. So that's going to be a little bit of a shocker for them, I think.
Okay. Actually, I didn't think about that. You kind of changed my mind a little bit from what I was thinking if we got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
They've played 7 road day games, and they are 3-4 in those games. And their runs scored, so they've actually outscored their opponents during that time. So it's 34 runs. They've allowed 27 runs.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells you is the games that they did win, they won by a lot. Our projected game 1, game 2 starters is going to be Lucas Giolito, game 1. We don't really need to say much about him. The guy won through a perfect game. He was an all-star last year. He was a Cy Young finalist. But how's he been on the road? He's pitched 3 games on the road. Road day game starts. 18 innings, 5 walks, 26 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. The White Sox are 2-1 in those games. They have 2 wins against 2-1 against those games. His last 3 starts, though, he's pitched 17.2 innings, 8 earned runs, 22 strikeouts, 10 walks.
8 earned runs, that's a lot.
Yeah. So that's
10 walks?
Yeah, so that's a little – it's not a lot, but for him, that's a little less than 3 runs a game.
But Sox for a team like the A's who have guys who are very patient, like Mark Canha and Steven Piscotty, that walk a lot, like that's good for us.
Absolutely. Big time. But the Sox went 1-2 in his last 3 starts. Dallas Keuchel, our old friend from Houston, the cheater team. His road starts, he's pitched 2 games, 11 innings total, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run. The White Sox are 1-1 in both games. In the last 3 starts, he's pitched 15 innings, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, 5 walks. The White Sox are 2-1. So 15 innings, the longevity's not there. If there will be a game 3 starter, it would be either Dylan Cease or Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning's pretty solid as a rookie, but again, it's the rookie who's been pretty inconsistent. Same thing with Dylan Cease.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna, I think now that you brought up that point again about who their lefties they faced in that division are, I was kind of steering away from the Manaya and throwing in Fires instead for the game 3, if it gets there. But you've kind of convinced me more to.
That's just of the top tier pitchers in the American League Central.
Yeah,
I didn't look at the National League Central, but in the American League Central, of the top 10 pitchers, there's only one that's a lefty, and that was Tyler Boyd, who again plays for like probably the shittiest team in the league. So not much run support there. Again, like those stats are very, I mean, that's a very general stat, so you don't really see things like that. We could look up the NL Central top tier pitchers to see like what lefties, top tier lefties they've faced on that end, but none really stood out to me when I was looking personally.
Because Bauer is a righty, Corbin Burns is a righty as well, I think. Yeah.
Let's see.
All right,
Aaron Nola. Oh no, he's East.
He's in the East.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not seeing it, man. These will be the 2 best.
John Lester,
who doesn't have a pickoff move? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
These will be the 2 best lefties that they've seen all season. So that's a game changer right there, I think. I already kind of said my keys to the game. It's timely hitting and placing people in the order, in the right spots. We haven't been doing that. We got to start doing that.
And
Start
I
from
think,
top.
yeah, my biggest keys for the A's that won the series, patience, patience, patience,
Yeah.
patience. We've seen in these last few starts from the numbers I've just read off, Keuchel and Giolito can be inconsistent. And the A's have actually, yes, we talked about it, they're not a great average team, but they're still a pretty good on base percentage team because they walk. They're right there in the American League top 5, and when it comes to just getting on base through walks. So don't be afraid to play some small ball against this team, despite the gigantuous bats they have with Jose Abreu and Edwin Encarnacion, Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, Luis Robert. They have all these stars over there, and don't get distracted by that because they haven't faced really a lefties, like Chris had said, that we've faced, and they strike out a lot. Lazard, and thankfully, these 1-2 guys are about to throw out there will get guys out. They will get them by the strike. So don't be afraid to throw something in the dirt, something a little bit high, because the odds are, outside of Tim Anderson, who I think batted like 250 something in the season, they're going to chase it. So don't be afraid to throw it out there and see what they chase at.
This is going to be a lot of guys in their lineup's first ever playoff game too. We've been there at this point. 2 wildcard games in, we've been there. We've seen it. We should be able to handle it. And some other guys on the team even more. Piscotty's seen who knows how many playoff games. I can't. I mean, off the top of my head.
Tommy La Stella won a World Series.
Yeah, Tommy La Stella. I mean, well, what would be your ideal based on the walking stats that you just showed me about how often their pitchers walk? What would your be ideal, like, because it's kind of changed my mind a little bit. What would be your ideal 1 through 5 batting order?
Pablo Estella lead off. Simeon 2. 3 probably Grossman. 4 would be Canna, and then 5 Olson.
See, for me, it would be Marcus 1. I think Marcus has been. I think leadoff is where he's comfortable, even though the numbers don't show it this season. But like he's been our leadoff hitter for 5 years, so like I would feel more comfortable with him up there. La Stella 2, because I think he's probably our most patient hitter. So him with a runner on, I think is a recipe for success. Piscotty 3, Canna 4. And then I think I would go. Yeah, I mean, I guess Olson 5 just because of the power, and then Laureano 6. But I want Piscotty's like the veteran who I think can handle big moments like that. So I'd rather have him at that 3-hole with runners on personally, and then let Canna, who's been the most patient hitter, go 4, and see what he can do with that spot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm confident though. I'm pretty confident.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, do you feel more confident than you were at the start of the day when you first learned?
Yes. But after the stat attack, I feel a lot more confident.
My job's been done.
Yeah. So I'm going to say A's in 3, just to give the White Sox their modest due because they did play really well this year. But yeah, if they start striking out a lot, then I feel a lot better. And we got to score early too. If we can get runs on the board early, they'll get some confidence and whatnot, and they'll feed off of that. What do you got?
We're in the same boat. I'm going A's in 3. I think I wouldn't be shocked if that lefty stat is something that again we probably shouldn't look too much into it because you're right. They haven't played too much good starting pitching. But it's something you probably shouldn't ignore because that's pretty interesting stat overall.
Mm.
And I think we're probably going to have to rely on the guy that kind of really lit it up today with Frankie Montas and striking out 10 in relief for the A's.
Yeah.
Against the Mariners. So I think I can see him playing a big factor if either game 1 or game 3 kind of goes a little askew, have him come in and kind of clean it up for them. Or maybe Mike Minor's also lefty, so that wouldn't help. But that's also what we wanted last year or last week when we talked about like this could be somebody who could clean up if we need him to.
See, the bullpen's one thing I'm not worried about. So if we get a lead early and we have a lead going into like the 5th and 6th, I'm not worried because our bullpen's just been so fucking lights out. And the stat that I shared with you earlier this week that actually kind of backfired. Every time Liam Hendriks pitches in a game, the A's are 22-1. So this season. So like as long as we can get him into the game, I have confidence. But like if we just got to get to the 5th or 6th, and then we get Petit out there, and then we get Diekman out there, or Soria out there, or Wendelken out there, and I just feel confident. I feel confident with that. I feel confident with the starters because they're all pretty, except for Luzardo. He's kind of like dipping down a little bit, but they're all really hot going into the playoffs. At least the 3 that we think are probable. It's just the fucking hitting, the offense that worries me because it's not been timely lately, and we keep stranding guys, and I can't say it enough. I've said it like fucking 20 times in the past 10 minutes, but it's something that's really bothering me. It's really bothering me.
Now, there's going to be a couple names you should probably keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
When the bullpen eventually comes in. One is Alex Colomé. Alex Colomé, he's veteran in the league. He's been around for a while. He had played with the Mariners, the Rays, and he's been at the White Sox the last couple of years. He's been pretty lights out as a closer. He's got a 0.81 ERA. It's 12 saves. So if the game gets into his hands, we could be in trouble. Another name that we should probably keep an eye out on is actually a rookie who just made it in time for their making it to the playoff roster by the name of Garrett Crochet. Now, he's only pitched in 5 games, 6 innings, but he's accumulated 8 strikeouts. He hasn't given up a run yet, and he's got a .500 whip. A couple names to keep up for, but the rest of the bullpen is pretty, well, comparing it to the A's bullpen is pretty pedestrian. But if there's going to be a way for the White Sox to really hold stuff down, it's going to be through those 2 guys in the back of the pen.
I mean, Cody Hewer looks pretty good on paper too, and then Evan Marshall. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so confident. I'm really confident with our bullpen that if we have a lead going in with the bullpen, I'm not too worried about it.
Hendriks 1.7 ERA, Wendelken 1.8.
Yeah.
Soria 2.8. Petit 1.6. Trevino 3.8. Diekman 0.42. Weems, yeah, it's
0.42. I didn't know it was that low. Holy shit.
He's the Diekman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That is gonna do it probably for this Town Tailgate podcast. Unless you have any last remarks, Julio.
Yeah, both games are on at 12.
They're going to be on ESPN, by the way, as well.
So find a way to get out of whatever you're doing and watch those games.
That was a little subtle rub in my face because I'm going to be on set working both days. So it's
I never think about it.
But asked for me to watch the game. I'll probably have to be listening in my AirPod on my phone the entire day. It's going to suck.
You got to do what you got to do. But honestly, yeah, I think after us talking about it, I feel better.
Yeah, definitely.
A little stronger.
The stat attack worked on me for sure.
There we go.
I hope it worked on the listeners, and I hope it works on the A's. That'll do it for this special episode of Town Tailgate Podcast. That was the playoff preview. Look out for the playoffs again. Day 2, Wednesday, September 30th, is going to be probably the greatest day in the history of Major League Baseball because there's going to be 8 playoff games on. There will be multiple simultaneous games going on, which is going to be a lot of fun. But the playoffs start on Tuesday, wildcard round, September 29th. They go till Friday, October 2nd, and then the divisional round is expected to start on Monday, the 5th. So look out for that.
So we haven't really discussed this yet, but we won't be doing a Wednesday episode, my assumption, correct?
Yes.
When we do record our next episode, win or lose, will probably be like next Sunday again. So we'll
Sunday
keep
or
an eye
Friday or Friday night. We'll see. Yeah.
yeah.
We'll tweet it out. We'll tweet it out.
Yeah, and if you're somebody in our family, we'll text you.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So let's pack up this gear and let's head into our playoff game that we're not allowed to go to, aka we'll walk over to our living room and watch the game.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and last but not least, Julio.
Let's go, Oakland.
Peace. The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is written and executive produced by this guy, Chris Madrigal, and my partner in crime, Julio Reynoso. It is sound mixed and edited by yours truly. Social media management and marketing is run by, once again, my partner, Julio Reynoso. And a special thanks and shout out to my brother, Larry Madrigal, for composing and producing our theme song, as well as graphic designing our album cover and artwork. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please subscribe. And last but not least, as we always say, let's go Oakland.